Good evening, everybody. It's another Monday night with bees all day. Trust everybody had a good warm weekend. We got blown away up here in Virginia. We had 20-mile-an-hour winds this weekend. So, um, hey, Rob, I see you made it in early instead of late. Um, I did talk to that person this afternoon. He did call me, Rob, just for your information. So it was a good conversation. So how's everybody today? There's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sawmill Charlie. How are you
Hey,
tonight?
how are you?
We're good. And there's Joey. How you doing,
Yeah.
Joey?
Hey, Keith, Randy.
I saw Mike in here somewhere. There's Pete Morris. He's here.
There's Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Uh, Dodd House is in here. Good to see you tonight. Mike from Vermont's in here.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Mike, my brother said to tell you he's got 8.5 inches of snow on the ground. Hey, Judith, and it was supposed to continue snowing all day today. So, what'd you do over the weekend, Charlie?
Well, um, Saturday morning, we don't have a lot of customers until about 10 o'clock. So um, I went up to the bee yard and I cleaned off all the chloroplast boards, scraped them clean.
Yeah.
And then I went ahead and vaped everybody before lunch. It was
Oh,
about 45 to 48 degrees, something like that.
you're getting an early start this year.
No, um, I started last year on November the 1st, which was a Saturday. It's been 2 weeks. And then on the 29th, hey, Brad. Hey, Todd.
Todd's in
And
here. Chris is in here.
yeah. So I went back out and then, well, I got that done. And so I worked with the customers the rest of the morning and got done. And after lunch, I went back out and I went through each hive and gave them about 2 tablespoons of, tablespoons, that's the large size, of super DFM.
Yep.
Just kind of put it on top of the frames, let them eat it out. And I got to see the clusters. The clusters are really nice and big from pretty much the majority of the hives.
That's good.
And the hive out there where I had the queen that came in late and got mated and all that. She was I had put that second pollen patty on there, and I would say 80% of it's gone
Well, that's
within
good.
within about a week and a half. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
And so I put some DFM on there, closed everybody back up, and I mean, like I say, hey, Lee.
Hey, Lee. How are you tonight?
So clusters all look pretty, um, strong. It's what I like to look.
Yeah.
And I mean, they was chilly enough to where even though at 1 o'clock or so, it was around 52 degrees, something like that. Hey there, Brad. And hey, Danny.
Danny. Brad.
And so I actually took my gloves off and started, putting the powder on. Hey there, Philip.
Bill.
And
Willie and Chuck.
so, um, they were chilled out. They weren't. I thought I had lit the smoke and everything, and figuring they'd be kind of testy, but they were all chilled. They didn't come up at me or anything. And I did find a beetle walking across the top of the frame. I smashed it. There was one. and all that. So put the DFM on there, and then as you can see right now, I put my winter wrappings on the hives that are exposed to the west winds.
Yep.
So I put 10. I've covered up 10 of them. A couple of them are like in, they're right at the edge of the barn. So if that wind kind of whips around, it protects them. And
Hmm.
so it's been windy all day today here. We've had all the doors locked down. It was like 50-mile-an-hour wind gust yesterday. Everything was locked down and all that. And so the coverings were on then and today. So it's perfect timing as far as getting the coverings on. And then Sunday, I went back out there about noontime. Yeah, Gary, I seen that on the guy where the guy had a lot and he had 20 hives on it. Somebody
Yeah.
else could go in there, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but basically or a tree company or clearing company went in there to clear out stuff, and they were on the wrong property, and then the
Yep.
guy disposed of 20 hives to a buddy, and nobody wants to tell anything, and
Yep.
I don't know who's going to get sued over that.
Hey, bees, nuts, and honey.
And so I went back Sunday around noon, and hey Chris, um, and checked the drops. Now 2 weeks ago, that was my first OA vapor treatment, and most of the hives I could find either 0 to 5 mite drops on the boards. And that's me looking at them really close, trying to count them and all that. And some of them might have had up towards maybe 10. And same time last year, I had 5 hives that looked like if you took a pepper box and the pepper represented it mites, I just poured on the chloroplast. That's how you didn't count them. There's this huge splotch of dead mites there,
Yep.
thousands of them. So last year I was using Aprivar. This year that I switched from Aprivar to Aprigard, which is Thymol. And last year on the Sunday, I vaped those. I think there was 5 hives that were just overloaded, and the rest of them had an average of 25 or 30 plus mites per hive. The first time around, I was between 0 and 5 and 10 on some of them. This time, I now the ones that were covered, that's 10 hives. So I got a total of 20 hives, including the nukes, going into the winter this year. So I checked all 10 hives that were open, actually 11 hives. That last hive there with the purple, I opened the back of the carpet up and pulled that board out of there. And all the hives, pretty much, I think I might have seen 1 mite on one of the hives. The rest of them were more or less zeros as far as mite drops.
Yeah. That means you're going into the winter healthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, compared to last year, huge difference.
Yep.
I was zero, I'll say 0 to 5 mite drops by the time I had treated and got up to Christmas time
Yep.
before I went to Nobby. Now I'm starting at the beginning of what I finished up last year at,
Yep.
and all that. So Formic or Aprigard definitely did its job. Wait, hey Clay, and
Oh, play.
so hey Barnhill, and which is Keith,
Yep.
uh, and so anyway, um, mite loads are looking really good, minimal, and I'm still going to go on my plan. My question is to myself is that looking at what Aprivar did this year and
Ape
how well,
guard.
yeah, Apricard, that do I need to do Formic in September
It
and
doesn't
all?
hurt
It doesn't, but
because the formic is a different delivery. It delivers it a
well,
different way.
yeah, well, Formic is brood kills the where a fruit.
Yeah.
It's a brood treatment. They don't
Hmm.
people don't talk about it that way, but they say 80% of your mites are underneath the cappings, and they hits the brood. That was something I never could understand. Nobody would say, well, if all the bees are hanging out on the front porch, how's it doing any good? Well, it's working on the brood.
Yeah.
And so I'm really pleased with my mite counts and all that. Like I say, I got the super DFM. I gave them an extra dose because that was the last time I'll open them up.
Yeah. Hey,
It's
Tom.
you know, hey Tom and Melissa. Um, I don't first, here it is. Well, it's almost, it's halfway through November, and then it's been windy and cold and um, all that. But we're talking the real highs during the day might be in the low 50s, if that. And it's been windy, and then in the nighttime, we're getting into the 40s, low 40s, sometimes in the high 30s. So, I mean, winter's upon us, and yeah, Robert, how about no, Robert? I'm gonna have to get more. I mean, I understand how it works. I can tell you right now, it's totally expensive. If you're doing double deeps, you're talking about 4 pouches, 2 pouches per deep, and what is it, $60 or something like that
Yep.
per hive?
Yep.
Somewhere, I think I'm not sure about the price, but I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. So, and I'm starting to see some different people talking about it, and they're looking at it, and that you know, it's not is what everybody thought it was going to be.
So I actually had a conversation today with two different guys in regards to Naroa. Actually, talked for a little while. One of them was the developer. One of them was Eric Walgren. He's kind of like the sales and semi-technical. If you've ever been to any conferences lately, and the Naroa guy's been there, that's been Eric. And I learned some interesting facts about it actually today. I actually wrote everything down. So I asked some questions about it specifically. So there's two things that haven't hit the market yet that will be hitting it. One of them is they're going to have a 24 pack coming up before too long. He didn't give me an exact date. He said they're kind of waiting on that one. And for anybody that runs multiple hives, like 500 or what have you, you're going to be able to get a tote with this already mixed in there for a much lower price. So like, for instance, me and maybe one other guy in St. Louis could utilize a tote together. So he said,
So how many is it going to, you say a tote, how many is it going to treat?
it'll treat 500 double deep colonies. But I would urge people who split their colonies down in the spring, like I've already had considered what I was going to do, and I'm not going to try it on everything, but I am going to try it on probably between 2 and 3 yards, probably 10 to 15 colonies per each yard. It's what I'm going to try in each one. And for instance, for me, I do run double deep 8. So theoretically, I'd have to run 4. But in the early spring of April, I break all mine down to 4 frames of brood. So I've nixed my swarming impulse. I've built my nukes out of that. So I solve a couple problems. So at that point in time, I can use 2 pouches. I don't need 4. So I can use 2 at that point. He also told me, so like you said, Charlie, 4 for a double deep, 2 for a single deep. And then if you have them for a nuke, you can get by with 1 pouch. He said, that's not on the label. He said, but he goes, 1 pouch will work. So, I mean, you're just kind of doing simple math there, right?
Yeah. So the Man Lake has the Naroa 24 pack listed on their website.
They do have it.
Well, they have it listed. It might be for sale.
It's not in stock yet.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But it's going to sell for $216 for a 24 pack. The 2 pack sells for $24. And the 24 pack would only treat 6 hives if you're running double deeps.
Yeah. It looks like about
200 and how much, Bob? Bill?
$891.
$16.
216.
Yep.
So
and
here's
it'll
another,
only treat 6 hives.
here's another interesting question I asked him. I said, I realize this could depend on a lot of factors and scenarios. I said, but I imagine you guys have already probably worked the data on this. I said, what are you seeing as an average as far as what is the span of treatment that you're noticing with these treatment? And he said average was 4.5 months.
Wow.
That was the words out of his mouth, because I was literally, when he was telling me this information, I was jotting this all down.
That's a long time.
That's what I thought.
But now remember, I mean, it lasts 4.5 months, right?
Well, this is an average. Okay. So
Okay.
this is not it depends on a lot of scenarios, but I said,
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is everybody, when they first heard about this, was under the impression that you left the baggies in that long, but you don't.
No.
The feeder baggies will last maybe a week, and you pull them out.
On a big colony, you'll be lucky if it lasts. In this early spring when they're taking syrup down, I bet you'll be, if let's just say you have a double deep colony, 4 bags of it, I bet you'd probably be lucky to see a week out of it.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably close, Charlie, give or take, maybe a little longer, 7 days ish. So
it only gives you 18 weeks of mite control.
And then what do you do?
You got to back it up with something.
yeah. I asked him too. I said, how would that work? So, okay. So we have to understand this doesn't kill the mite. It essentially, and he used a couple terms that I didn't follow, and he would have to explain this better in detail more than what I'd be able to. He listed off a couple of proteins. What you're basically doing is you are removing something. It's an mRNA. So the I part is an interrupter. So what you're doing is you're interrupting. Oh boy, this is going to get beyond me. I'm going to try to keep it in layman's terms here with this, because
Basically interrupting a protein.
It's interrupting a protein in the mite. So basically, when she goes down into the cell, she can't lay any eggs. That's the short answer of it. It interrupts something that allows her it dries up the eggs basically, or it doesn't allow it to lay eggs. So you've just interrupted the mite reproduction. You haven't specifically killed that mite. You've just interrupted the mite, because obviously these things are breeding heavily and they're doubling like every breeding cycle. They're doubling in numbers. I asked him another question too. I said, what does that look like if you use that and you also use Apigard or Apivar or oxalic acid vapor or sponges? And he said they're finishing up the field studies on, and now I'm talking putting these like 2 treatments on at the same time, like a knockdown or a flash treatment, like let's say Apigard, and then also this Naroa product at the same time. And he said they're noticing no effects in the field trials, that one doesn't have a negative effect on the other one. So let's see, he said they've done oxalic acid vapor. There was no issues. The Apivar, there was no issues. They're finishing up the one, I think he said for I thought he said it was Formic Pro because I said, well, what about Formic Pro? You're putting an acid in there. I said, is it destroy or does it mess up anything with the Naroa product or vice versa? And he said no. So that's a good thing. I just told him, I said, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are really skeptical on this. And I said, you're going to have to really explain some of the details of how this works. Because ever since COVID, when we start talking about, and it's not the same thing exactly. I said, people are really skeptical about this sort of stuff, and I said, I'd say particularly beekeepers too. And I said, but if you dive down the science and talk about specifically how it works and what it does exactly, you're not actually changing the RNA strain. You're just interrupting something in the reproduction.
Now, Lisa said they're recommended twice a year. They are encouraging IPM to include other products. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, what it is. It's basically, like Lisa said, it's a contraception for mites.
That's the short answer.
Yeah, that's the short answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking there, I didn't know where you and your brother.
I don't know. I mean, it still boils down to a lot of money. And
I can buy a lot of oxalic acid for $216.
Well, for that amount of money, I can buy a tub of Aprigard and a 30 box of
Formic Pro
for almost the same amount of money. So I don't know, unless it's, you can spend that money on this stuff and do it in this. Well, that would, if you did it twice a year, like Lisa's talking about it, now you're looking at 400. Well, you're only doing six hives. That's now.
Yeah. So if you've got more hives, like all of us on this screen do, you're talking $800,000 for a mite treatment.
I would say obviously it's pretty clear, but you're obviously best to do this when they're brooding up, but not into a double deep box. And you clearly wouldn't want to, put it on with supers. And I don't know, actually, did it say, Bill? I don't remember. Can you?
No, it didn't say anything about putting it on with supers or anything like that.
Yeah,
I thought he said it wouldn't have. I can't remember. Don't quote me on this, but I thought he said that it's safe for that, but he goes, you wouldn't want to. He goes, you want them to feed that syrup straight to the brood nest. So, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense to feed it with supers on, because now you're going to end up with that potentially, depending on what your single or double brood box look like. Maybe they were going to be storing it upstairs. And he said it was redundant at that point.
Yeah, that was my understanding. I was at the Pennsylvania State Beekeepers Conference. They talked about that, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying that this pouch basically has a pull-away tab on the front of it with slits in it, and it's a sugar syrup with the chemical in it, and they basically suck this thing down in a day or two. You can lay it either on the top bars with a spacer, or you can lay it right on your bottom board with a 1/2-inch clearance over top of it. The bees consume it in a day or two, and you're done. The treatment's done. Throw the bag away, and it's good for, like, say, 4.5 to 5 months. They store this with their brood food, and I thought the bees were consuming it, and it was inoculating the bees. And when the mites fed on the bees, then they were transmitting it, and they're saying, no, it's getting in the brood food. And when the mite runs down and hides under the larvae and gets into the brood food, it comes in contact with it. And then at that point, it basically turns that mite into a founderess mite, and she's unable to reproduce at that point forward.
Yeah.
And so if you get that mite load down early in the spring, and at that point, and they can't reproduce, you're talking going from middle of April all the way to the end of July with no reproduction of mites at all. I mean, like, your numbers should be extremely low. Yeah. You may not need a mite treatment rest of the year, or if you do, you do a gasum again, or formic pad, or not formic, but oxalic pads or something later.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you pay the price up front. And the other thing you don't take into consideration with this is the labor intensity to go through and, putting all the pads on or rock sand strips, to take the time to actually put them on and then have to go back later and take them off for forming pads. Where this is, you lift the hive, you throw it in, pull the tab, you're done for 4.5 months. Like there is nothing else to do. It's just done.
I would, and I like that, but I would say, Rob, you and I both know that that's probably like best case scenario. And
Yeah.
we hope that this is what it specifically does, and like you said, I think there's trade-offs on everything, right? Depending on what we do, we may be paying more. You might potentially be paying more for this treatment up front. And I'll step out on a limb here and say, I would expect to see in the future, right now, Man Lake has exclusivity to this because Greenland Bioscience is a really small operation and they just don't have the manpower to retail. I mean, you're talking about warehouse, logistics of shipping, manpower in the warehouses and all that mess. And I don't think they wanted to deal with it, honestly. I think they wanted to focus on the product and get that out there. So right now, Man Lake, and they needed somebody big enough to be able to push this out there. And honestly, there's not that many companies that are probably big enough to be able to do that. So they chose Man Lake. And I think they have exclusivity. I don't know how long that was. He didn't say specifically, but my guess is probably within 2 years, you're going to notice other companies like your Hilcos and everybody else selling it. And I don't know if they're going to somehow try to price lock that. I would hope that they don't, because it would be really nice after, say, the first year or two, the price starts doing this and
Sure.
gets down to a more reasonable number.
Then it might be worth it if it did that, Tom. And I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if the manufacturer price locks it, not Man Lake, but if the manufacturer price locks it at a retail price, Man Lake will be the only one that'll carry it.
Yeah. I'll sell you some Cabbage Patch dolls.
No thanks.
Yeah, you understand how that went over.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I probably know somebody that would actually buy them. No lie.
Well, how about what's the tie? The little
Tie babies. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
beanie babies or whatever they were.
couldn't afford them when they were out.
I know a guy down the road here. He was, they were bringing one of them out every year or 6 months and selling a living dickens out of them.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, boom, it all blew up in their face.
Yeah. Now they're all goodwill.
Yeah, they're all for goodwill.
Hey, now hold on. We need to think about something for a minute. When companies market stuff, think about this for a second. There are people out there that spent good hard-earned money for a pet rock, for crying out loud.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I'm just saying, okay. Not everybody in this world
Bill's
is
got
graced
his
with the
hand up.
blessing of common sense and good judgment. But listen, some people can market ice to an Eskimo, right? I'm not saying that this product is the end all, the fix all, the whatever. And my hope is that it does what they're claiming. And then my second hope is that it does get down to a reasonable price, because right now they're absolutely pricing themselves pretty high out of the gate.
Well,
We'll see.
can you imagine if if it doesn't only work on Varroa, what if it works on tropical Elaps? Now you got a chemical that's going to have a demand worldwide.
Oh, yeah. Rob, if that happens, tell me that price wouldn't go up.
Initially, right? But they'll source it out to someone who can mass produce it for pennies on the dollar,
Yeah.
which is, just to stay away from tariffs overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested to learn more about this, and that's why I kind of chatted with them today for a little while. I chatted with the guy here in St. Louis that was actually one of the original, I wouldn't say developer, but he worked on a lot of the field trials between here, Canada, and all over the place with commercial guys. And this stuff's been like testing out for I want to say they started development of this like 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
In the research side of it. It's been a long time coming.
They have really put a lot of research into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm optimistic, but I'm skeptical in the same sentence. about things. A company can claim all kinds of cool things, and that's great. And I'm not saying that they're not going to deliver. I'm just saying, just talking out loud, that's where my mind is at. I hope this works well. I really do. And like Rob said, that would be an absolute blessing. I mean, when the AAA Labs Mike gets here, right? Let's work off that premise, that it was able to somehow, I don't know, maybe curb reproduction on that pest as well. I mean, who knows?
Well, they need to really start looking at that AAA lapse mite now and trying to combat it now.
Yeah.
Here in the States instead of waiting for it to get here.
I know. That's the one thing that aggravates me is that most government agencies are so behind the times. They're just so reactive. They're not proactive about anything. They're just reactive by nature. And it's just, most of us wouldn't run our households that way, right? Because it would be reckless. You try to be proactive in areas and try to head off, issues and things like that. But it seems like for whatever reason, I don't know.
Well, I hope if they do research on that, they're forced to go overseas to do the research, because everything they bring here seems to escape the lab, right? So
100%.
Yeah, so that's
100%.
just a faster introduction.
Playing with fire when they're doing that, aren't they, Rob?
Yeah,
they are.
I mean, that's how Varroa got here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Instead of going to the source, they brought it here, and all of a sudden, boom, it was out.
Yeah.
So, how did your Zoom call go, Rob?
Oh, it went well. Yeah, it went well. Most of the folks I'm dealing with there are backyard beekeepers, and a lot of topic was whether it was responsible or irresponsible to, let your bees swarm. And, the bottom line is it depends on the beekeeper. Talk to a guy that runs 20,000 colonies. Those guys don't even catch their swarms, They let
them go.
Yeah, they let them go. They don't have time for it. You can argue it. Either side of the coin. Is it healthy for the hive? Absolutely. And does the neighbors like it? No. But pest control people do. That's what keeps them in business. So, argue it however you want. But no, it was a good call. And I did learn a few things, and I kind of challenged them. One of the things that was in the module, this is, and Bill and I are talking about, I'm in the master beekeeping class at Cornell University, is one of the things that was stated in there, and it did not tell you the source, but it said in 2019, it was research had come out that a queen that was produced in a queen cell was a larger and a better produced queen than a queen that was grafted from a worker cell put into a queen cup and raised. And I asked them, I said, is there a citation? I'd like to go back and read that research. And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, well, that's a pretty bold statement to make as a fact.
It is.
And then to not be able to back it up. And then there was another thing I questioned, and that is in grafting. If you are grafting a larvae and you flip her over when you put her into the cup, they're saying she dies because she can't breathe. But I think a year or two ago, I remember seeing some type of a video that somebody came out or had a laboratory or something posted where you could see this larvae and her ventricles, and she was breathing. And then you watched her mature, and she actually rolled over several times in this high-speed footage, which showed you that she has these ventricles on both sides of her body. So how could she drown if she can breathe from left side or right side? It doesn't make any sense. And I questioned that as well, and they had no answer. So I don't know. So
you were talking about trophy and studying it. Dr. Sammy Ramsey, he's been working on that for the last several years.
Yeah.
And trying to get funding from wherever he can get funding from. I know our bee clubs send me money and stuff. And
So-
he's probably about the only one that I know of that's actively doing that.
So Dave Tarpey wrote 3 articles, one in '99, one in 2000, and one in 2001 on the question that you just posed, Rob.
Okay. I'll look that up.
One's in animal behavior, the other one's in bee science, and the other one's in apidology.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's something to that. I mean, if you're a smaller beekeeper and you want to raise your own queens, and if there is something to the fact that naturally made queens are better queens than queens that are reared by man, then it would do you well to, I don't say let your colony swarm, but let them get to the point where they start rearing the swarm cells and then clipping them before you split your colonies. And because you're going to get better queens out of it. And the other thing, when I was in the program with Robin Underwood and we were reading some research papers, one of the research papers we did is the research was to see how many queens they could get a colony to make after it went queenless. And they started, I think it was in March, and they took a double deep colony and they split it where they kept 10 frames in the mother hive, and then they created 2 5-frame nukes off of the remainder of the hive, and then they left the queen in the mother hive. So the 2 that basically got split off, they were given eggs and plenty of bees and plenty of nurse bees. And then I think it was every 16 or 20 days, they would rotate brood. So when the brood all hatched out, they would rotate those empty cells back into the mother colony, bring eggs back out, and they would continue to clip all the basically emergency cells that these queens or that the nukes were making. And they want and so they ran it all the way through the middle of August. How many queen cells do you think those 2 5-frame nukes made from March? And it was never queen right. They never left the queen hatch. As soon as they'd raise them, cap them, they'd clip them out, move them, and then they'd rotate those blank frames back in, bring in more nurse bees and stuff. How many queens do you think those 2 5-frame nukes made?
Probably a couple hundred.
I think it was 158. So you could potentially take one colony and let the bees make you 158 queens and never graft one time.
Yep.
I was impressed.
Well, I've had it where I've taken nukes and I've sold the queen with 5 frames, and before I could get a new mated queen, they had already started cells. So, and you're telling me that, what they chose as queens are better than what I can graft. So is it really even worth it? If you got an old queen, find her, pull her, and put her in a nuke someplace and let that hive just go ahead and make a whole new.
Yeah, make a whole raft of them, split them apart.
I mean, you got the fact that it takes you 30 days or whatever, but if you're grafting, you're not really gaining.
Well, you need that much more equipment, and you're still in a time frame.
Well,
But see, if you do it that way, you let them create the cells for you. All you need is the mating nukes to put them in to hatch out in and go get mated.
Yeah.
okay. That's the way I did it for several years, and I did it last year, and I did have better results with that method. But last year was the first year we were grafting to any degree, so I'm no way to compare it. But the one pretty strong colony typically would give you about 10 to 15 cells, but keep in mind, a lot of times those cells were touching. You weren't going to be able to get those apart. Sometimes 2 or 3 of them would be touching. Also, if you're on plastic foundations, it's nearly impossible to cut those out.
That's totally bogus. Totally bogus.
Calm down, boys.
I
Calm
was
down.
waiting for that one, Charlie.
I'm serious. You don't need to cut a hole in the darn wax. I can scrape that thing off there slicker than snot.
I
Yep.
want to see make a video of it because I've tried it and I have failed every time.
I've done it many a time.
Most of what
Easy to
we've
do.
done too is the same, and I use plastic. And Philip, you're not wrong that when two of them are together, usually you're sacrificing one of the two. But I can usually, with a razor knife, a sharp razor knife, I can usually cut those out, put them inside of. I'll either bring my little cell warmer and slide them down there, or you make splits right then and there on the site. But I can usually, not all of them, I can't do all of them, but most of them I can usually get off.
Somebody needs to do a video and teach me how to do that then, because I don't do much plastic foundation, but the ones I've done, it always seems to tear a hole in the backside of it.
All right. Well, what are you using to cut? Are you getting a knife or?
Yeah, I'm using like a fillet knife.
Yeah, it's
Gotta have a knife.
you need a really, really, really flexible knife to get
Yeah.
down to the foundation and bend that knife around the back of it so you can cut it out.
I'll tell you, the best knife to get a hold of is get yourself a hook carving knife.
Yep.
There's one, it's kind of like that, and you can go in there and scoop that thing out of there.
Yep.
But as far as the backing part, you might see a little bit of white there. Well, that's jelly or whatever. You can, just, kind of make an indentation in that wax and put that in there and just give it a little squeeze to hold that cell in place, and the bees will reattach everything. And
Yep.
That's another thing, though. If I even make the slightest indentation in a queen cell, almost always it doesn't come out.
The easiest way to do it is
If you
carry a
even-
box of matches with you, wooden matches, strike anywhere matches, and you've got that queen cell in a queen cell holder, right? And it's got the little piece hanging off the back of the cell. You take and strike that match, let it burn a little bit and get hot, and then you put that queen cell up and you lay that match on that wax, and it'll adhere right to it.
Y'all sound like a bunch of snake oil salesmen.
No, that's how my grandfather used to do. That's how he did
Well-
queen rearing.
well, I take them cells and I just take my finger and just, you squeeze, you make an indentation, and it's a round indentation. Put that cell in there and just kind of pinch it just slightly, ever so slightly. And as long as it stays there, it's fine.
So the other thing they talked about, since you mentioned snake oil, was the art of tanging, banging pots and pans together to control the swarm. So Charlie, lead us off on that one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, I've heard a lot of folks go out there and bang on pots and pans, and it seemed like it drawed them, that frequency drawed them down. So sometimes it works and sometimes it don't.
It depends on the pitch of the pan.
Yeah.
Well, then why is it you had one guy told me he was driving like a Ford, like an 09 Ford, and they come landing on the darn tractor because I guess it had a certain vibration to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys said, "Are you chasing the bees or the bees chasing you?"
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of like drumming to get the bees to leave the supers.
Hey, Bill, I just got on here. I was going to give an update on my foamy honey situation, then get off.
All right.
Okay.
Wait, let me see if I can put my camera around here.
Did you see my my comment to you?
Yeah, you said that you're getting some traction on your gift baskets.
Oh yeah, big time traction.
It's good.
What is your Christmas
And I
thing?
got your box today.
Okay, good. All right. So what I've been doing is I've been putting the honey in cake pans and putting it in this warmer, the top's off of it right now. And then I've been, in about a day, it drops it to about 18%. Drops
Blow
about
him up, Bill.
1.5%.
Expand him so everybody can
Yeah, that's
see
what
it.
I'm gonna do.
There you go.
All right. So then I take it out of the cake pans and I'm just putting in my old timey bottling bucket, and that's it. It's got a tiny bit of foam. I mean, like just barely.
Yeah, that's normal.
But then, so I basically got down to where foam was starting to come out of the bottling tank. There's my last. I don't know if you can see it there. There's my last cake pan with some honey in it. I've got this thing set for like 108 degrees, and here's the foam all the way down there to the valve. Let's see how thick it is. I think it's about an inch thick.
He's locked up.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sorry, you guys still there?
Yeah.
All right. I hit a button or something. So here's the foam, but I noticed, let's see, when I touch it, it just pops. See that? So there's a lot of air there. Not as thick as you think.
So what's your
See,
moisture content on after you dry that honey?
it's about 18%, 18.1, something like that, down from like 19.4. But yeah, it looks like I can probably, I'm going to let this, I just put this in here a couple of hours ago. I'm going to let this sit overnight. Yeah, you can see that foam is mostly air. You can see it just popping. So I'm going to leave it in here overnight to heat it up. You know, the valve's right there. Then I'm going to try to scoop this off and get the last bit of honey out of here. So, there you go. You can see real honey right there. See there?
You could skim that off.
Philip, does that taste off to you whatsoever?
No, it doesn't taste off at all.
Okay.
It tastes nice and creamy.
Yeah.
Put it on top of your
I actually like it. It'd be good on, yeah, it'd be good on top of like
coffee.
hot chocolate or something.
Yeah, there you go.
I wonder if that isn't foam. Maybe when you extracted, you got too much air in it, and that was just, it created that foamy situation and floated to the top.
Well, this happened when I poured it through a screen to get ready to bottle it. It didn't have any foam on it when I did that until I did that, and then it really foamed up and came out of the top of the bucket. I was on Ricky's show last Thursday and showed everybody what was happening. That's why I wanted to come on here and give an update. Most of the same people watch these things. But yeah, it's all working out, but it did. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, JW was right.
Don't tell him that. Keep your mouth shut.
Is he on here?
If he is, he'll chime in. Just
Oh
keep your
yeah,
mouth
he will
shut. Don't
definitely
tell
let
him
you
that.
know he heard it.
Yeah, he sniffed it out right away. So, but yeah, high moisture content's what caused it. And he said it would foam up like that, and it doesn't mean it's fermenting. It'll just foam up like that when you pour it.
Yep. And then, of course, when you poured it through that screen, it caught some more air too.
Right.
With the stuff you got in the bucket, if you take a piece of cling wrap and lay it on top of that and just gently tap it with your finger and lift it up, you can pull that right off of there. It'll stick to the cling wrap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'll do when I get it down to a little bit. But it was so much foam, I was going to give it every chance I could to release any honey it was hanging on to. All right. Just thought I'd give an update.
Well, thank you, Phil.
But was it last week on here we were talking about the winter patties, or came and mentioned something about that?
Yeah.
And I seen that Will made a comment that they're showing. I guess they're showing they're sold out already. Up at
I don't know. I haven't looked.
No. So what they did is Chris Madeira has released the classes that were going to be up for sale. But what he did is he zeroed them out. So it looks like they're sold out. They don't actually go on sale until the 21st, which I think was Friday at 12 p.m. So noon. That's when they go on sale. And there's several of each of the classes that people can potentially partake in. Like if you want to do the microscope class, I think there's one on Thursday, one on Friday, maybe one on Saturday, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But they're just zeroed out for the moment because they're not technically on sale yet.
Okay. I got you.
Hey, let's see. Peter Morris actually had Gary RT 23Bs had a question for Rob in here up at 7:43.
I know that I presume that by Hilco's thing, all your pollen patties that were for Nabi are sold out.
Yeah, I don't know. We ordered some because I needed some for this next year, but I don't know. We got on them pretty early. I don't know if they're still available or not.
No.
Has anybody looked?
So
I just looked at their website. I didn't see it on there anywhere.
yeah, so Gary, your answer to that question is, so what they're saying is if that pupae is floating on top of the royal jelly, their breathing tubes are always on the top side, and they're suggesting if it gets flipped over that it's actually will drown in the royal jelly itself, that it'll suffocate. But they actually have breathing tubes. I was looking at something else on bee biology today, and they actually have the breathing system is they have 10 sets of these breathing things, that the ventricles that run from all the way down on both sides. It's kind of interesting. We get a chance to look at it, but
Is that term called spiracles? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
the spiracle, the spiracles are the holes that run, and then you have the I can't think what it's called, where the trachea, I guess the trachea, right? The trachea runs basically from the brain all the way down to the tail end of the bee, and the spiracles tie into that.
Yep.
And
Interesting.
and so as the body contracts back and forth, it pumps air in kind of like your lungs. It sucks it in one end and pushes it out the other. But they have it on both sides. So even at the larvae stage, it's on both sides. And so it doesn't make sense that if you flip it over that it should suffocate. But based on what Cornell's telling us it is, and I challenged it, and it was even a quiz question. And I thought, well, if I got it wrong, maybe I should have got it right. So
Yeah.
So you're saying that Cornell said that they're only on one side and they can suffocate?
well, Cornell's saying if you're grafting and your larvae died, it probably died because you flipped it over and it suffocated.
I see.
Yeah. I got that question wrong on the test too.
There you go, Bill. Let's protest that.
I did. I sent an email to the instructor and he said, sorry, it's wrong. You're wrong.
Huh.
And that was all he said.
Huh. Well, we'll get research on it.
Well, that's not much of a contest, is it, Bill?
No.
No.
Just flat out you're wrong and that's that?
Well, that's college. You got to tell them what they want to hear. Now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I did send him a picture of the anatomy of a bee,
Oh, nice.
and I never got an answer.
He ghosted you, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that was like
challenged.
that was like a guy down at the firehouse. He was a school teacher, and there was an English test, and it was a written test where he said, what happened at something that happened back in the 1700s that, and he wrote on there, everybody's writing and going and writing and sweating and everything on this paper. He said, he wrote on his paper, I don't know, I wasn't there. And he says, it's wrong. He says, no, it didn't. You asked a question, what happened? And I answered your question. They took it all the way to the dean, and the guy says, the question is correct. And then that question went off the test.
That's hilarious.
But
Hey, let me answer a question that was in the comments. Chris asked how clean the floor was. It's a lot cleaner than it was before the honey was spilled on it because we finally had to clean the floor. But what I do want to share with you guys is Noah saved most of that honey, and he put it in the mead that he just made. So we got some floor honey mead. We
Hey, it'll be
did.
safe to drink because it's going to ferment.
Yeah, we filtered it out.
Are you bringing that to the Nobby dinner, Philip?
Yeah, we might bring some floor honey. Well, it'll be just about. It might be mead by then. We just made it like 2-3 days ago.
You have to call it floor mead.
Hey, I made floor mead once before, and it was awesome.
Extra seasoning.
You drink enough of it, you don't care.
It's a very small percentage of it, and we made about 10 gallons, two of those things full. But we put a little floor mead in each one, so make sure we distribute it as evenly as possible.
Yep.
Yeah, you distribute the flavor.
Yes, exactly. The only thing different in the two batches is we use a little slightly different. I don't know what's that. What do we use now? The yeast. Yes, slightly different. We had 2 different yeasts we want to try out. Most of the
batch of peach mead.
Most of the honey we put in there was what I call it. It's baker's honey. I take my wax cappings and I melt them real slow on a double boiler on the stove. And then I pull the wax off the top, and the honey that's below I put in a jar. And that's what we used. Most of what we used was that, and some old jars. But I did think of something. I think I am going to do. I think I'm going to take like all my leftover knobby honey, because I got like 2 years worth, and I want to make a mead, just call it the No Life Bee Life mead. And then like next year, bring it to Nobby and we all drink it, and it's made from everybody's honey. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
So, Bill, you mentioned that you spoke to that gentleman. Is he going to be on next week?
Yes, he is.
A good deal.
So while everybody's on here, Rob had started the conversation with Zach Lamas, and I had a conversation with Rob today and Zach Lamas. So he's going to be on here next Monday night. So spread the word. We want to get as many people as we can on here next Monday night, because he's going to be live. He's going to be answering questions after he gets done with his presentation on his research. And then he's going to be coming back somewhere closer to spring. There's some new research coming out that he wants to share with everybody.
And everybody who doesn't know, Zach is, or was, I don't know what you say was, but the scientist down at the Maryland Beltsville Bee Lab.
At the Beltsville Bee Lab, yes. So he will be on here. And so if you don't know who he is, ask your friends. They will most likely know who he is. So I want to try to get as many people on here as we can.
And Brian, that's exactly right.
So
yeah, one of the things I talked to Zach about is, there's not a lot of young, what I call researchers out there that's doing the type of work he's doing. If you mention different people that were researchers, Tom Seeley, older people getting up there in age, and within a few years probably passing off the scene. Jamie Ellis, he just moved from Florida to Georgia, and again, he's no young chicken. And, so he's probably got another 10, 15 years left in him and probably will retire. And so there's not a lot of guys out there, but this is a young guy. Like he's sharp. And I told him, I said, I'm really looking forward to following you and your work, because you're doing some really good stuff now. and the stuff is practical. Like it is a lot of things I hear from commercial guys is these guys, these researchers, they don't come up with practical stuff that actually is helping us. They'll tell us all this about this and that and about that and plants and stuff, but it doesn't help the bee industry. Zach's not doing that type of work. The stuff he's doing will absolutely help the backyard beekeeper. And so, if you don't know who he is, do a little Google research on him, listen to some of his talks he's already done. And you're going to quickly find out that he's really good. He knows what he's doing. And so, yeah, I'm super pumped he's going to be on here next week.
Yep. And he did say that he would be on here more often because he wants input from the quote unquote real world to mix in with his research results and see what his research results, if they're showing real world applicability. So he will be in here from time to time asking questions and talking to people.
That's good.
And I think Zach has been working with Troy Hall up in New Hampshire, who's a commercial beekeeper up there, where Troy, I'll say with queens or whatever, and resistance to mites and things, where they took some of his apiaries and experimented with them, for so many months out of the year and stuff. So, like you say, he does have hands-on type of stuff.
Yeah, he runs his own hives. Like he keeps his own bees, sells his own nukes. Like, and he's right down there, right outside of Baltimore.
I believe we've had him at our club because he's local.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he worked for Michael Palmer for a while. I think that's him and all up there years ago before he went into the science end of it.
Yeah.
So it was a good conversation with him this afternoon, and kudos to Rob for hooking him up with me. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, it'll be an interesting Monday night next week.
Yeah.
He's going to be around for the whole show.
Yeah. Do you care to share who he was riding with and how that whole thing came about?
He was riding with John Turpin from Strong Microbials. And when John texted me, he says, I didn't know you had a podcast. And I said, yeah, you were on it. And he says, well, Zach is right here with me in the car. I said, well, yeah, I thought Rob just talked to him. He said Rob called me and said he was supposed to call me. So he called me when he got to the hotel. So they're in California at the bee conference. So there you go, Todd. You can go out and check him out. He's a very knowledgeable young man, very smart.
Yeah, you'll like
so,
him.
Yep. So, Tom, somebody wants to know where your sidekick is.
She's over there working.
Yeah, she's listening.
Oh, God, here she comes.
Where's your frying pan, Melissa?
Hey, you're going to find out if tanging works, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
She needs to do this over your head like a puppeteer. Make it look
That's
like
right. That's right. Don't give her any ideas, Rob.
Making dinner. Homemade chicken nuggets and homemade French fries.
Amen. Good deal. So
homemade French fries.
Yep.
Hey, fellas, I'm gonna bounce off here. I'm gonna give my daughter a call before it gets any later and chat with her for a little bit. She's in the house buying experience, so we gotta just kind of stay in the loop with her. But it was good seeing you guys chatting. Y'all have a great night. I'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks for coming in, Rob.
Jeremy said, "Don't forget to taste it before you season it."
Mm.
She's tasting it right now.
I'm tasting it as I cook it.
Are you going to bring some of those to Nobby?
Homemade chicken nuggets?
No, French fries.
Oh, the fries? They'll probably be cold by the time we get there.
We can make them there. We can make them there on the site.
Exactly.
A little fryer and some potatoes. That's easy, right?
Yeah, that's easy.
Bring a big turkey fryer.
I've got a turkey fryer I can pack in the trailer.
Shoot, you can get them going. That'd be easy.
Somebody got to bring the gas can.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're gonna need that for sure.
Yep.
Bill, did you line up more trivia questions for tonight?
No, but I can come up with one real quick.
Come up with a couple. Those are always fun. The ones you've typically had, I mostly didn't have a clue on, but I felt like I had a pretty good handle on the ones from last week. The only thing that I did not specifically know about the drones were the updraft part. That part I had never heard or had not ever heard that before, the updraft
So,
part.
Philip, is that your still?
That's it. That's my meat. This light is terrible.
Looks pretty good. Looks like a pretty good hiding place for it.
And we had a little bit of overage, so we put it in a milk jug.
Yeah, it's your thumper there in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, you see, it's slowed down. The bubbling's like every 2 seconds instead of every second now. You can see it on that one up over there. Oh yeah. But yeah, you're supposed to keep it in the dark, so let me cover it back up with the towel.
Yeah, or it won't bubble off. Won't ferment.
Yeah, I think the sun affects the. I don't know. Light affects the fermentation process.
Okay, this trivia question's worth $50. $50 gift certificate. No cheating. You got 3 minutes to come up with the answer. Which varroa mite reproductive stage is most vulnerable to oxalic acid vaporization treatments, and why is the timing of the brood cycles critical for treatment success? Your time starts now.
Well, I know that.
Hey, repeat it again, Bill.
Which varroa mite reproductive stage is most vulnerable to oxalic acid vaporization treatments, and why is the timing of brood cycles critical for treatment success? It's a very specific answer.
That's brood. That's
Brian.
Vapor.
So Brian from Castle Hives has one part of it.
Todd.
My answer's
said
14. I don't think that works.
Dispersal phase. B and C and OA doesn't get upper
Nope.
under cappings.
Nope. Brian's been the closest. Come on, Tom. You're an oxalic acid guy. Come
Well,
on.
actually, Melissa just said, and I'll tell you what her answer is, because when they're phoretic, the mites are outside the cappings, so it's effective on the mites. When they are below the cappings, it is not effective because the oxalic acid has no efficacy or bearing under a capping.
Okay. That's two parts of it. One more part.
What was the last part?
Of the question.
Yeah, maybe I missed it.
Well, the third part is you need to cover the entire 21-day brood cycle,
All right. Here's the question again.
and on a 4 day or less interval, because that's how long they stay outside the.
All right.
the
Here's the
dispersal phase.
question again. Listen closely. Which varroa mite reproductive stage is most vulnerable to oxalic acid vaporization treatments? And why is the timing of brood cycles critical for treatment success?
Why is timing? Okay, there, yeah. We have to do it repeatedly so you get the ones under the cappings also.
Melissa said you have to do it repeatedly so you get the ones that emerge from the brood cappings.
All right. Everybody got parts of it, but nobody put the whole answer together.
So we all get $50?
Oh,
No. That was quick, wasn't it?
Hey,
So here's the answer. Oxalic acid vaporization is most effective against the phoretic mite. That's what Brian got.
Mhm.
Because the mites sealed inside the brood cells are protected, Tom got that part, from OA exposure. Treatment timing is critical. OA works best when colonies are broodless or nearly broodless, maximizing the exposure to phoretic mites. Nobody got that part. Now, I can make them easier, but they won't be worth as much.
No. Don't make them easier. They don't need to be easier. They need to make everybody think.
All right, let me give you a hard one now.
I don't know. I thought that was pretty good, but sure.
You know, I think that was a complete answer to that question. I think we all know that, but I think we're so familiar with it, we forget the complete answer.
Exactly. So that's why I do it the way I do it.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you. This is a freebie. What is the primary purpose of adding an upper entrance during a strong nectar flow, and how does it specifically affect colony foraging efficiency? It's very specific.
A good one.
I'll let somebody else answer that.
All right. While people are talking about that, Bill, I want to respectfully disagree with you. Phoretic phase is a term that they used to use. Phoretic in insects means they're traveling on the host. They have since renamed that phase dispersal phase because we've learned that they don't just travel, they're actually feeding on the bees during that time as well. So dispersal, phoretic are essentially talking about the same phase, but they've changed the terminology because phoretic isn't technically accurate to what the mite is doing on the bee.
Okay. Now I've got to differ with you a little bit here, Brian.
Go for it.
But that's pretty recent. Is like just in the past year they've changed that terminology.
Year or two, yeah.
But listen to the question.
Yeah.
It never asks about a phase. It said stage.
Synonyms, Bill. They mean the same thing.
It said stage.
All right, whatever. They mean the same thing.
All right, let's start an argument here. I'm just kidding.
No. All right.
I like JW's answer.
What's his answer?
Look at it.
Oh,
There's
JW's.
more to it than that, Mark.
That's awesome that you got Dr. Lamas coming on next week. And that's also exciting to hear about his new lab and kind of he was down in the dumps for a little bit. You could see it on his posts, and you can see excitement in his vision for his future in his posts as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, he was very excited today when I talked to him. I talked to him about 30 minutes.
Cool.
And, he was going to be in the dark listening tonight so he could see the flow of the show. So, yeah, he was very excited about it tonight.
Thanks,
I saw
I
that
appreciate
comment.
that.
Half full or half empty?
Oh, he is answering in the chat. Okay, he's cheating over there, I see. Is that Melissa? I'll let it go. See if it's
No,
her.
I actually put that one in there. That's my
Tom.
thought.
That's Tom. Yeah, you're supposed to wait. You're supposed to wait for the.
Mark was the
Valerie.
closest. Mark was the closest.
I was going to say both of those because both of those things apply.
Yeah, the upper entrance reduces traffic congestion by allowing returning foragers direct access to the honey supers rather than navigating through the crowded brood nest. This increases nectar unloading speed and overall foraging efficiency, especially in a heavy flow.
And it will also allow them to dry down the honey quicker too.
Yes.
Because I've pulled the outer cover and I've seen them lined up inside the inner cover from that little hole that's there. all the way back to the hole that goes through the inner cover, I see a line of bees, and they're all fanning their wings, like a little single file line.
Yeah, but see now that may work in Texas, in your area,
Yeah.
the upper entrance. But when you get into my area of Virginia, we are in high humidity. And if you have a screen bottom board and you have an upper entrance, you've created a chimney for humidity. Mm-hmm. And it just keeps re-wetting honey. So they have to keep re-dehydrating honey before they can cap it.
I don't know. They sure fan to that little opening though. And I will tell you this, that's the reason I think offsetting the supers works. It's not the humidity; it's the ease of access for the bees to get in and out. Because that really does work. I tried it this year, seriously, for the first time, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah,
I've seen my bees using that space to fan and dehydrate the honey. And I've walked by my colonies at night putting the chickens away, and you can hear them fanning. Yep. It's real.
Sure, sounds like somebody left a little electric fan like it's on your computer on it. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure it does work in some areas, but what I'm saying is here where I'm at, it doesn't work because of the humidity.
Yeah. And here where in Colorado it does work because we don't have the humidity.
Exactly.
Yep.
And Phil doesn't have the humidity that I have.
Right.
So
well, okay, so I don't completely disagree with that, Bill, but I'm going to argue just for a second on that a little bit. And it may be kind of more semantics, honestly, but even in a human atmosphere, if you, depending on the humidity, I think there's a lot of things at play there. You can probably still dry down a small percentage points even by just moving air across it. Now, I also would say that it depends on how humid it is. I mean, if it's 100%, yeah, you're probably not going to do much. But if you're only talking, maybe you're at like 50 to 60% humidity, I would argue that they're still drying it down, even though that's somewhat of fairly humid nature, definitely much more humid than what Brian's going to see. They're still probably able to reduce that down, especially from a wet nectar scenario. Maybe when they get to 19, 20%, it may become lesser or non-existent, but I still think they're going to be able to dry that down.
And I don't disagree with you, Tom. Yes, when we get into end of June, July, our humidity levels drop. Heat goes up, humidity levels drop on some days. Mm-hmm. But from end of March to the middle of June, we're talking 70, 75% humidity. Most days. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't work here for me. For me, it doesn't work. It may work for somebody that's 20 miles away, that's in a microclimate, that it'll work.
Yeah.
There's one thing I tried that main thing is when the honey flows over with, you better be closing them boxes up.
Yep.
I'll tell you another thing that will help with the honey production that I tried on a few colonies, and I'm going to lean into it next year, and I think Tom did a bunch of this where you make your split and you put your queen above a double screen board, your old queen, and you let her continue to lay, and you let them make a new queen in the bottom. So you got a nice young queen that's really laying a lot of eggs in the bottom, and you got an old queen who's filling up that top box. If right in the middle of the honey flow, if you'll take your old queen and like one frame of bees away, hold on, I got a lot of background noise. That top colony in that honey flow, if you'll just take her away and then just lean that box up and leave a little gap there where the entrance used to be, take that double screen board out and let them just keep going in right there on that backside, they'll feel that. They'll turn that box into honey in about 2 weeks' time or less, because they don't have a queen. She's not laying any eggs. They're not raising any brood. They're like they've gone queenless. So it's a little trick to boost your honey production, and it gives your other bees from the bottom access to the top. You keep stacking honey supers after that, but It's like turbocharging that honey collection by taking that queen away and leaving that old colony in place, but just propping the box up.
I could see that happening.
Taking
So I
the
wanted to
that out.
Kind of like it's kind of like the demery that I do.
Yeah.
I wanted to show a graph from one of Bob Benny's slides. Russell Koopman in there asks, humidity level below 65% dries honey, right? Question mark, question mark. And I would say it depends. And I want to show you this graph that Bob Benny uses on one of his talks. So it says there, honey is hydroscopic, the humidity, and it has the moisture. It has two columns on there. And basically showing what the humidity level is, whether it's six, I can't read this backwards for me, but you guys can see what it shows there. So that's just kind of for reference. So it kind of depends. And then there's one other picture that I wanted to show from Bill Heschbach on the condensing hive. And we were just talking about this a minute ago for upper entrance. I want to show this. And that's kind of what Bill mentioned or what Bill said a minute ago. When you have a condensing hive, you have a heat dome, or you have what they call a ventilator. And there's two of them on there. So condensing versus ventilator. You can see the one that's, well, I can't tell which side it is. It's kind of reversed for me, but you guys can kind of see the one on there where it shows. I mean, this is kind of specifically highlighting for, winter type use, whether it's condensing or not condensing, but that could also talk about how air movement moves within a hive too by having an upper entrance. So just another simple graph or fun. I like taking pictures of some of that interesting information so I can reference back to it later. Because sometimes you get so many downloads of information. There's certain things that slip through the cracks, so I take pictures of it and go back to them later on.
Yeah, you never know when you'll see it again or hear it again.
Absolutely, very true.
So, Brian, where are you?
On the front porch.
At your house? You're in Colorado?
No, I'm in Florida.
Okay.
And I'm definitely not going to the Texas meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a definite at this point. I don't know when I'm going home.
I'm trying to talk Mike Berry into meeting me at the farm, either on his way there or on his way back.
Why you can't get a flight, Brian?
No, they need help here.
So did you do well with your farmers markets this year, Brian?
Yeah, I had a really good year, Bill. Thanks for asking. We're not signed up for many holiday markets because of Jen's parents' situation. So we only have one coming up in December, but we did pretty well this year that we're okay with where we're at without doing many holiday markets. That won't last forever. I got to get back to work at some point. And my bees have definitely suffered this fall. I have not done my fall management. I have not wintered up all of my colonies, although most of them are. So I do anticipate a little greater loss this winter than others, but sometimes other things are more important than bees.
Yeah, you're right. They are.
Family first.
So, Tom, you've changed.
For the better, I hope.
This is the better half.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for those ideas today, Melissa. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
I knew you were the right person to give me feedback on that.
No problem at all. I know I'm great at everything. What can I say? No. No, that. So Brian is now the president. You're the president, right, of the California state?
Colorado.
Oh my gosh. Well, California was just mentioned. So.
And it's CSBA too. So it's
Yeah.
super confusing.
So he is working on basically, well, you can talk about it. Just a preparation.
It's a planning template for our summer and winter meetings, but it's time based. The past couple of years, folks have been pulling stuff together last minute, and our attendance has been fairly low because people find out about it like a month or even less beforehand. So I'm trying to change that. And I created, with the help of AI, a time frame. So like 9 months out, 6 months out, 3 months out, not just what to do, but when to do it as a checklist to go through. And I bounced it off Melissa to get some feedback on what might be changed or added, that kind of stuff.
Which is great because it helps keep you on track. And that's a great thing to also pass along to the next president or the next board, so that there continues to be consistency.
Yep.
A lot of times that's an issue with boards, that members go out, new members come in, and it's like, let's start over,
Yeah,
that's silly.
Now, are you talking about the planning of the board of directors or a club meeting?
No, our two big state meetings. We have one every summer and one every winter, and they're the big events that we put on. But Colorado's so big, Rifle's a really nice place in the middle of the state, and there's lots of cool things to do around it. And you can plan a nice little summer weekend if you have enough time to plan it. But if you find out in the end of May when it's going to be, that doesn't work. But if you find out in February, that's going to make it a whole lot more possible to be like, well, let's spend the weekend there. We can go to Glenwood Springs. We can do this. We can do that, and make a really fun time out of it.
So
see, the thing we did in Virginia, Brian,
Yeah.
I think you and I talked about this. 2026 is completely planned.
Yeah, I saw that.
It is done.
That's awesome.
They are in the process now of planning 2027 and getting on speakers' calendars 2 years in advance so that we can get better speakers.
Now,
No,
let
I
me
have
ask
I have a question. Well, go ahead, Brian.
No, you first. Go ahead.
I have a question about planning that far in advance. Do you have your location secured that you can lock in a date to tell
Yes.
those speakers? So are you going to this exact same location every year that you have it locked in like that? Because around here, places will only book a year out.
Yes, we have the venue secured next year. We have two venues penciled in for 2027. They're not 100% secured yet, but they know that we're looking at that venue we already have our dates. We've set our dates for those dates. And they're both of those venues are available on those dates. So we just have to make a decision on who's going to give us the best quote. And that's where we go.
Okay.
That was the
But
same
it's
question. I was
working
gonna
out
ask you.
very well. We have a new president, and she's handling it very well. But this was something that I put in process when I first came in. So it's worked out very well.
Yeah, because like I said, around here, venues won't book until you're a year out. They won't book before a year.
Yeah.
So to book for start, I mean, we've looked at places for 2027, don't get me wrong, but we can't book anything until next year, So I don't like talking to speakers or actually Tom, because that's his job, doesn't like talking to speakers or booking speakers until we have a definite location and secured a date, before we can get on people's calendars, really.
Yeah. But a lot of your speakers, you'll find out that, if you get some of these college professors, researchers and stuff like that, they're booked 2 years out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We've found that a couple times,
Yeah.
but it's hard to book them with an arbitrary date.
Yeah, I mean, you can give them the dates that you want to do the conference and tell them that it may change 1 week, a week, or a week either way, so that they can plan.
Yeah.
So
Morris Homestead has a question there, if anybody wants to answer it.
Melissa, that was my exact same question, because we deal with the same thing.
Yeah.
Some places, like the library, the one that you guys went to, that one's like less than 6 months or something like that, and that's a is a nice place, but that's a terrible planning
Yeah.
time frame.
Yeah, and that's not a big location either. So if you got a large number of people, that would be a little bit of a logistical issue.
Yeah, so last year we actually did that. We went to the fairgrounds, and that was a bigger space, and it worked well. But I think that one, I have to call actually pretty soon and just start touching base with them because the summer one's sometime in June.
Yeah. What I found interesting too about being on a board in a club, like a local club versus the state level is, locally, you're all right there. It's easy to meet in person and go tour venues and do this and that and have meetings. The state club, like you have to do all of your meetings on Zoom. We've been trying this last year to do at least one in-person meeting, maybe two this year, but you're all over the state. You all can't go tour the venues. So usually one person goes and tours the venues, and then you're speaking over Zoom, which Zoom is great. Don't get me wrong, but things still get lost in translation over Zoom, right? And you're not just in-person meeting is different than Zoom meeting in my head, for me anyway.
Yeah.
And again, like I think travel in Colorado is a little bit harder than travel in Missouri because it's easier to get places in Missouri. Everything's fairly flat. In Colorado, you've got to drive how many extra hours to get around a mountain pass or something like that, so there's logistical issues that way being on a state board also.
So how did state boards have monthly meetings before there was Zoom?
Well, our state board, we don't have regular like club monthly meetings. We only have like board meetings.
But how do those board meetings happen?
I have phone calls. Right? I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, no clue. But
so
Party line.
I mean, going in October, you got 2 mites per 300 bees. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. And then when you get into December, January, February, if you're treating with OA, then you're going to knock that number way down.
Brian at Castle Hives. He's only booked 15 minutes out. So if anybody needs him to speak, he's good to go.
Yeah. So JW's question, his original question, what are you going to do if the Yellowstone caldera erupts the day before you planned events? And I told him, and my answer to him was, where to go? Basically, I said, if that happens, nobody's got to worry about it.
Yeah. Everybody's
and then he came back and said that's why he never plans ahead. But, when you're doing meetings for an entire state and trying to get people together at one location, you have to plan ahead.
Yeah.
So going back, what was it, 2 years, Melissa? Melissa and Tom bailed us out. Gosh, was that even?
It wasn't this year. It was last year. So last June.
2 years ago. So it's like May. It's May, and it's our spring camp, and no one's got a speaker. And I was just an advisor at the time, and I'm like, holy crap, I got to step in and do something. So I started calling up people, and that's when Tom and Melissa came out, and that was our first time meeting in person, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
We identified Brian in the airport by his hat, the way he wears his hat. That was a whirlwind trip there because we were available, but we literally had, so it was a Friday evening meet and greet, a Saturday conference, and then Tom and I were supposed to teach Sunday afternoon at Great Plains here in St. Louis. So we literally flew in Friday morning. Brian picked us up at the airport. We drove 3 hours to Rifle?
Yep.
Had the meet and greet, got up the next morning, did the conference, drove all the way 3 hours back to Denver and stayed at the president's house, actually. And then her and her husband at 4 a.m. drove us back to the airport. We left, got back to St. Louis, taught Great Plains at noon, and then came home and slept.
Oh, my God.
So we didn't get to like visit or like see anything at all. So when the opportunity came up this year in March, where and the Pueblo Beekeepers Association was having a meeting, and our friend Jim Masucci was speaking, and Mr. Ed was speaking, and we knew Brian was going to be there. We're like, and that was Tom's birthday weekend. Like, hey, let's fly into Colorado, but like take a week, and we could actually go do stuff. So that was a good meeting, actually, too. They did a good job.
And you know, they recorded all those meetings and they still haven't been published yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I talked to Drew like 3 weeks ago and she's like, no, they're still not done. I'm like, I kind of want to watch that one.
Well, I told you that KT was going to try to get Drew to do a honey show up there for that one. And maybe I'll come up and do the honey show, work the honey show, and then maybe Tom can do some speaking. We'll see.
Yeah. That gives me a reason to go to that one.
Yeah. It was good though. It was fun. I mean, when we went up there and spoke it for Colorado State, that was definitely a busy 3 days.
Yeah.
But it was
that
good.
Pueblo conference was a much better time to visit. You got to hang out with John Mitchell quite a bit. I only got that one afternoon, but
yeah,
that was fun. That was a good time.
Well, who's John Mitchell?
You see him, he's Westcliff Honey in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's great. He's so nice. He took us you came up and he took us to his home apiary and we got to poke around there and see he has the Lyson insulated hives he uses there. Wasn't that Brian?
Yeah, because he's at like 7,500, 8,000 feet, something like that. So his weather's a little bit more mountainous than mine. But he's in the chat all the time. He's Westcliff Honey, Charlie. And then Pete Morris is another Colorado beekeeper. And then there's another Eric Tenwick or something like that. He started coming on recently. He's a new beekeeper that's from Colorado as well.
I see Jeremy Lindsay here. Jeremy, it says they don't book out.
Their hotel, but yeah.
So they own a hotel business?
Yeah. Or I'm not sure if he owns it or if he they manage it. I'm not sure. They don't book out for a year. Yeah, I think that's pretty typical. But yeah, it's fun planning all those things and trying to coordinate all those kind of moving schedules and whatnot.
Oh yeah, it's like herding cats.
Sometimes, especially when you're talking about speakers and vendors and trying to get paperwork back, and you promise if they sponsor certain things or want to do certain things, you'll advertise them. You're like, well, you have to send me your logo, get me all your information so I can start, we can start pushing it out there.
Yep.
It can be a bit sometimes, but it's all right. It all works out in the end usually.
So
we had Rogan Tokash come out to our meeting this fall. He was a really good young speaker. He just got his PhD from Auburn and just got an assistant professor position up at North Dakota or South Dakota State, maybe South Dakota State. He did a great job. He's a great speaker. So he had one talk in the morning and then we had breakout sessions in the afternoon, and he demonstrated the Amitraz resistance test that you can do in a cup. So that was really cool. I definitely recommend him as a speaker if you're looking for someone young, a lot of fresh energy. I see him having a really big and long career in the beekeeping research world.
I was looking into the Florida University, the bee school that they do in March, the same time the Pueblo thing is going on.
Yeah.
But it's because they have a honey show there. So I was thinking about doing a honey show there, and then Tom could go to the workshop. and it's like over $200. And that doesn't include any food. So your meals are extra if you want to get meals there, which is fine. You know, it's a 2-day thing, so it's fine, whatever, you know. But the thing that I don't like about it is they don't publish their schedule. Like, you don't know the topics, you don't know who's teaching it, you don't know anything. You're basically buying these tickets blind, having no idea. You know, after you've bought them, then they send you the schedule or the
Itinerary.
thank you. Well, it's not like locked in yet though, you know. But it's like, before I spend 200 and some odd dollars on a ticket, right, I want to know what topics we're covering and who's speaking, because all you have to go on is they publish their past conference schedules for you to look at and go off those. And I think a lot of the teachers are typically people who teach in their B lab. So Jamie Ellis, Cameron Jack, you know, that whole crew there. But still, I want to know exactly what they're speaking on before I spend my money to sign up. But I thought that was interesting how they do that.
What in the world is going on?
Hey,
My
Brian,
computer
you
went
decide not,
crazy.
did you decide not to do any more markets this year?
We're scheduled for one more in the beginning of December, but we're not scheduled for anything else. I don't know when we're going to be back. Like, I can't be home. I can't make products right now. I can't make batches of creamed honey. So
Right.
what I have at my house is what I have. So Cam came out with me. My youngest son came out with me to Florida. I drove him to the airport yesterday to go home. I trained him on how to do all the shipping on Shopify. So before we left, I trained him on how to package everything up so stuff doesn't break. And then we downloaded the program on his computer so he can print off the shipping labels and send stuff out. So I don't know how much more we're going to do this year at all. We'll see. And it's okay. You know, we're good. We're okay. We're in an okay place, but
you need to take some stuff down to Florida and start doing some markets down there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Like a gypsy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have to have December to make our year.
Yeah, like the holiday season's a great time of the year to sell stuff. Everyone's wanting to buy gifts and everything. So it's typically a time of the year where beekeepers that do events do fairly well. And folks like us who diversify and make gift baskets and things that look gifty, you know, really tap into that holiday market.
Yeah. I was just checking with Noah. We did 16 samples and about 12 gift baskets last Saturday.
Yeah.
Well,
the good news is the one that we're signed up for is a killer one. Last year was the first year we did it. And Jen was at that one and I was at a different one. And they were both Saturday, Sunday. And we would have made more money if we were both at that one. Like, it was one of those markets where it was so much
People just
traffic.
piling up and you can't talk to them all.
Yeah, like we lost money by just having one staff member there as opposed to two.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's frustrating when that happens. That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah. So
because I get it sold and then I turn it over to Noah to close to do the credit card and all that stuff.
Yep. You got to turn them over fast so you can keep going.
Yeah.
Like, don't linger and chat about bees on those days.
Thomas Allen.
I do what I do. Girl. I do what I do.
Yeah, I think we've got like 5 markets through the end of the year. And there's one day we've got 2 markets lined up. So Tom and I will go to one and then one of the boys will go to the other one. There's another market that same day at one of the high schools. It's like a huge craft fair. We're trying, it's sold out right now, but we're on the backup list if anybody drops out. So if we get into that one, then Tom and I will go to that one. One boy will be at the other one and the other boy will be at the other one. So we'll have 3 markets going on that day. That'll be the first time we've ever had 3 markets in one day. There's a couple times a year, probably 3 or 4 times a year, we have 2 markets in one day. That's always fun the week leading up to it because prep for that is can be crazy sometimes.
Oh yeah, sure.
Castle's got a good comment about when to bring an observation hive and when not to, right? You don't want to bring an observation hive on those really, really busy market days because that's going to get in the way of sales. But they're really good to bring on those days where you think it might be a slower crowd because you'll get more people to come in and you'll have a really nice opportunity to chat to people. And then they'll remember you next time and come back.
So I have to say, a lot of times we don't bring observation hives just because they take up table space.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give up table space for product space. But they are definitely pull people in. And if we are going to bring them, we only bring them certain times a year. So we typically, like past July or July and on, don't bring observation hives to markets. Number one, other bees can smell them, and then your table gets completely inundated with bees, and people avoid your table because they don't want to be around the bees that aren't in the hive. And then when you get into fall, Tom doesn't like to pull frames and disrupt colonies. So,
yeah, my market's only 4 hours long, so I can't afford to pull together an observation hive for that short of a period, plus take up my time, from selling either. So I've never brought I've only brought my observation hive to speak to groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, that's what we do.
So I had intended to, but it's just like I said, it's so busy.
Well, and sometimes I'm always worried about like too many kids getting around it and knocking it over, or something like that when you can't be attending to it the whole time,
Yeah.
I don't. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I don't have another market for 3 weeks because next week's not my week for market, and then it's Thanksgiving weekend. And then it's, of course, the first week of December after that. And we're not scheduled to be at the market the second week of December, but I'm trying to get into it anyway. But yeah, my goal for these next 3 weeks, though, and I told Noah, let's get the Facebook page up and running because I want to sell our gift baskets to like small businesses and corporations to give away as like employee gifts or customer gifts.
Yeah.
I think I could sell 50 to 100 pretty easy if I just hit on a few, people that are looking for opportunities for things. We probably sell 10 or 20 at a time.
Well, what's great about Facebook and like putting your honey page on Facebook is I put events calendar every month of exactly where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. And so many people follow that and like come to our markets because like, oh, I saw, you were going to be at this market or that market or, wherever. We get a lot of people following that.
So when you put up your meal list for the month, does people just stop by the house and eat or what?
Well, sometimes they say they're going to. I've not had anybody do it yet. But yeah,
it depends, Charlie. I wouldn't let just anybody eat my food. Well, like all you on the chat, you can come by anytime. You can eat my food.
I'll be there. It'll take me 12 hours, but I'll be there for breakfast.
The menu's a little off this week. I did the homemade chicken nuggets and fries today because I bought some chicken at the end of last week, and I didn't think it would last till Thursday when it's actually on the menu. So things are getting bumped a little bit to this week.
JW's comment to Brian, or maybe it's to Castle, maybe not Brian Nevada. That guy is something else. You know that?
I saw this really funny market post. It was like an Instagram post of strategies to get customers to come to your booth. And it was things like take a bite of food, leave to go to the bathroom. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you leave and they're going to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
So this market that we did this weekend was a high school craft fair thing. And there's like 200 vendors at this. It's huge. And it was really organized though. Like when you arrive, you go to the front desk. It's at a high school. You go to the front desk. They give you a packet with your information in it. And then it's a 2-day event with Saturday and Sunday. There were order sheets in there for lunch and for one for Saturday and one for Sunday. And you mark what you want, what time you want it delivered. and one of the high school kids comes around and picks up all your envelopes and has your booth number on it, whatnot. And at your time, they bring your food to you on a tray, you know, everything you order. Like it's great because so many of us, like, we do markets by ourselves and we don't have a chance to like go grab anything to eat. And this wasn't all day. Like, it was 10 to 4 Saturday and 10 to 3 on Sunday. So you're going to want to eat, right? So it was really well organized, but they bring us, Saturday was Chick-fil-A if you wanted a sandwich, or you could get pizza and a hot dog or whatever. Anyway, so they brought us our sandwiches at 11:30. I don't think I finished eating my sandwich until 1 o'clock because it was like, okay, nobody's coming. Take a bite. Oh, 5 people are coming. Put it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or at the market in Wildwood that we do, there's a really good tamale guy that makes tamales, and Tom will always get us some tamales, and they are so good. But it, like, good luck trying to eat them.
Yeah, the tamale guy knows me. Oh, Jeremy has a good one here, Melissa. Let's comment. He says all day fasting is good for the body.
No, it's not. I need to eat at noon, Jeremy.
I agree, Jeremy. I don't have any problem when I'm in the middle of my workday fasting.
Noon o'clock. Food needs to come.
Yeah.
I'll work through until it's time to go home. Then I'll think, oh, I haven't stopped for lunch.
Yeah.
Noon o'clock.
Work takes priority, right, Bill?
That's right.
Yeah.
Until noon.
No, that's not how it works.
No, well, I'm in the house getting ready to eat lunch at 12 o'clock, and they're banging on the back door. Where's everybody at? I said, did you look at your watch? And I said, did you bring the pizza? No.
Yeah.
And they're always sorry. I said, well, if you're sorry, then what are you interrupting your lunch for then?
That's right.
Get out.
You know what time we go to lunch? Sit over there and wait.
Yeah. Last Saturday at the market, we were about 15 minutes late getting fully set up. And I hadn't even gotten the price tags out on everything. And then the people were coming by, and I'm selling them stuff, but there's no prices. So I'm having to tell them the prices on everything. And finally, at about 9:30, I looked at Noah and I said, you just got to step up because I got to go put these prices out. We can't do this all day. But he stepped up and started selling while I went to the front of the table and just started putting all the prices down.
Yeah. Well, I just have a framed printout of what all of our description and what all of our prices are.
Yeah, I like to put a little tag in front of everything.
Yeah, Tom wants me to put a tag in front of everything too.
Philip, I keep saying the same thing, and this would be a good discussion. I want to know, Brian, Philip. I mean, obviously, well, I kind of know what Philip's going to say. I feel like there should be a tag in front of each one, not just a central description of all the products with prices listing. You guys give me your thoughts and tell me what you think pros and cons would be on that.
Well, if you have a listing, well, the such and such a bottle, well, which one's that?
Yep.
Yeah. Which one is that?
You know,
With
Are
the
you
master
sure it's
list,
that one?
there's no connection of that product to it. You know, with the individual tag, there's proximity. Takes up more space though.
That's my issue. It takes up space.
Yeah. But the other thing is, if you have individual tags for products, there can be a brief description of that product on that tag beyond price. That can be helpful as well. The other thing is, if your inventory is constantly changing, you can change out your individual tags really easily, but not that master list. You can, and we've had this conversation too, Melissa, you can change a price at any time with an individual tag.
Yes.
Reprint the entire page.
So,
Oh my gosh.
So I'll tell you something that I did.
I actually changed prices today, Brian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, something that I did on Saturday for the gift baskets was, and this is one of the times when I told Noah, I want to do this. You got to step up and start selling. So I just went over to the side. I made a tag for the gift baskets, and I put the cost of each item that's in the basket. And then I put a total, and then I put a line through it, and then I put the total of the price of the basket, which was less, like $3 or whatever. And they started selling faster that way. They felt like, okay, if I buy them together, I get a deal.
Yeah.
So that worked out really good because we sold about 12 of them, whereas we sold like 2 the time before.
Yeah. Brian, I wanted to go back to what you said about changing prices again, because you and I had this conversation and chuckled about it before with Melissa. And that was the same thing. We were kind of going over some things. I'm like, man, I didn't think about that. I'm like, we absolutely need to change this price, Melissa. And she's like, well, I'll do it later on. I'm like, why? I'm like, I don't understand.
I like changing prices at the beginning of the year. I don't know why. In my head, prices go up at the end of the year.
I agree with that, Melissa.
Thank you.
You don't change prices in midstream. You wait till either the very beginning or the very end.
Well, so this is my thought
check those
process when
prices.
I'm thinking about it. That price might be done right now. Yeah. When I'm thinking out loud. Okay, you can go to a gas station and get a hot dog and pay what? I don't even know what they are. I don't eat hot dogs. I don't know. $1, $2. Let's just say $2 for a.
You might buy the bun for $2.
$2.50 for one, or probably $3 for one and $2 for $5, something like that.
Okay, so let's just call it $3 for argument's sake. Say $3 for a hot dog, but you're going to go to the ballpark, and I guarantee it's going to be like what, 8,
Yeah.
9,
At least.
It's the same freaking hot dog, for crying out loud.
No, it's not.
It's the same hot dog, for crying out loud.
Baseball stadium hot dog.
Yeah, okay, it's a baseball stadium hot dog. It rolled around in the dirt for a couple weeks, and then it got
tastes better.
sold to you. So the point I'm trying to make is the location is key. If you go to a gas station, your mindset is, I'm not going to pay $8 for a soda, right? I want it for whatever it is. Again, I don't buy it from there. $1 or $2, whatever, right? So, but you'll happily, in a different setting, you will happily pay $8 for that same soda. There's nothing different about it. It's just the location that it's at. So that was the same thing I told Melissa before. I'm like, I feel like certain markets we should be, if we know things are like gonna like really move, let's move the price around a little bit on it. You have extra time, effort, and energy going into setting up markets or different things like that. I'm like, I don't see where there's an issue there. So I don't know. That's just my thought. That's where my mind goes to. I'm happy to hear anybody's counter.
I also think at
Brian's got
special
one for you.
events,
Hey, Bill,
Hey.
my phone's about to die, so I'm going to get off of here.
All right. You have a good
All right.
evening.
I've
Thanks for coming in.
enjoyed talking to you guys.
See you, Philip.
I want to add that at special events, it's a great opportunity to experiment with prices because that's not a familiar customer base. If it's a weekly farmer's market, they could come back and be like, hey, last time I got it was a different price. But if it's a brand new market, a brand new event, that's a great way to that's a great opportunity to just test out a new price. And it might not be the same customers going to that event, but they don't know your price. It's not like going to the grocery store and buying bread every single week, and then you notice it when the prices change. I have a different system for changing my prices, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah.
My wife tells me to change our prices. I resist it for about a week. Then I give in, and then I tell her she's right. It worked out pretty well.
Brian, could you next time not say that out loud, please? You can give it to me in a text or a phone call. That's, a personal phone. That'd be fine.
But it's funny how you guys are the opposite. I'm always like, no. Like, no.
Tom, it's all about keeping the wife happy. Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, Bill. But if she makes more money, do you think she's going to be happier? Because
she gets to spend more.
Vacation. Maybe we can go out to Colorado again and visit with Brian or something,
Yep.
That could make us happy, So I don't know. I just like to hear the back and forth on those things. And I realize I'm not always right in certain areas, but, trial and error is kind of where it's at.
The other thing this kind of leads to is just the power of signage. Not how you do signage, but just the fact that you have signage is really important. Mm-hmm. And like I realized this year when I didn't update my easel. Our easel has like all the different flavors listed. Bless you, Charlie.
Bless you, Charlie.
And I'll get people be like, "Oh, do you have the chai infused honey?" And I'm like, "No." Why did they ask me about that this week? I haven't had it in like a month. And then I look at the easel and it's still on the easel. So they slowed down, noticed it on the easel, and then came out and asked me if I had it. And I was like, well, first of all, that's great that the easel's working. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I have to update it to make it current so I don't have a disappointed customer walk away.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question. So when I step back and take a look at our booth, and you guys can see pictures of it on Facebook and stuff, I keep telling Melissa, I'm like, I'm always looking to improve it in some way, shape, or form. I'm like, I'm like, this is nice, but I'm like, I feel like we can always do better. And, just as far as overall appearance, I don't know, the way you talk to somebody, professionalism, I don't know. I always feel like there's always room for improvement in some areas. And when I looked at our booth, I'm telling Melissa, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm looking at your booth and I'm like, I have to look really hard to even know who you are. And I'm like, that's disappointing. Brand recognition, I think personally, is extremely important.
Yep.
I mean, I'll go a step further. There are people that are on Facebook because we have thrown our name around. Other people like our products, throw our name around. There are other people that I know for a fact have never been a customer of mine, throw my name out there. They have never bought one thing from me. And why is that? It's brand recognition. That's all it is.
Yep.
I could be serving crap, for all that they know. But again, because your name is thrown over so much in certain areas, it becomes more that brand recognition. So I told Melissa, I'm like, I think we need better signage in some way, form, or fashion that doesn't look tacky, that is not a extreme pain to set up, because that's another thing too. I like efficiency. I want to be able to set up and tear down that market extremely fast, because I'm not actually getting paid to do that portion of it. I want to spend as little time as possible doing it, but it is equally as important to make sure that the display looks nice and is efficient too. So again, just always looking to update those areas. So if you guys are ever looking at our Facebook post and you see something that you think is something that we could do that's different, throw it up there or send us a message or something,
You
I
know,
think
one
what
thing.
I'm going to do is get a bee costume and have one of those billboards that you wear and make Tom wear it and walk around our events from now on.
I might do
Yeah,
it.
it's called a sandwich board, Melissa.
Thank you. Yeah, sandwich board.
Come on, Brian. I thought we were pals.
One thing I noticed about our booth is we have like a 3x6 sign that we have behind us.
Mhm.
And I noticed that other booths have a skinnier sign, just as long, like the width of the tent, but right up in front on the top of the tent.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better, like, I was standing back out of our booth at one point and I was looking at the other booths and I was like, I can see their signage way better than I can see mine, because ours is in the back behind two people and theirs is right up front, ready to go. So that's something I want to fix.
So let me ask you a question. Have they taken another signage and then put it up there, or is it built into their tent itself?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those lettered tents are expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yep, they are.
We've resisted on that a little bit, because I'm looking at longevity, and let's just, depending on how many markets that you do, and depending on how much wind or weather you get, you could probably plan, say, a season, maybe 2 seasons out of an awning or a tent canopy, maybe a little bit longer than that, but I would say average. And I didn't want to have to replace, I mean, especially if I pay for a 10 by 10, $800 or something like that, for one that has my name plastered on it, which I would love to have, but it's hard for me to choke that down where I feel like I can do other things, take the same money and do other things and be equally as effective. So
that's like at Nobby. We have that table drapes over the front of the table.
Yeah.
It has Shenandoah bee supply on it.
Yep.
We're going to order one for Green Acres Apiary.
Mm-hmm.
That'll drape over the front of the table.
Okay.
Those are expensive too.
Yeah, they are.
I like that idea though, better than a tent canopy. I feel like it's going to be more cost effective.
Yep.
And again, I think brand recognition is extremely important. If you're doing like onesie twosie events, probably I wouldn't spend the investment on it. It just probably wouldn't pay off. But if you're doing semi-frequent events, I think those are areas that really pay off. So I just haven't figured out what I think is beneficial for us yet, but I'm open to ideas.
I like the banner across the front idea, and I like the tablecloth drape ideas.
Yeah.
We have one of those too, Bill, and I think that helps out as well. And here's where the branding comes in. Philip was asking me how many markets am I going to do? What's it going to be like? Blah, blah, blah. So I looked at my phone. This is part of the benefit of branding. In the past week, I've done 383 of sales on Shopify. That's not a lot, but it's still steady, and that comes from the getting to know all my customers at markets and helping them remember us.
That's right.
Yep.
And part of
And
that
they
is
get used to seeing you at that market.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, the main thing is the repetitive clientele.
Yeah.
And it takes time to build that up.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
like last week. I think last week, no, 2 weeks ago, I sold 50 some pounds, over 50 pounds of honey in that 1 week. Well, that's because everybody who was a regular seemed to come on that 1 week and they get reloaded up for the next month. and then the following week, you didn't sell as much, but doesn't matter. They kept, they're repeat customers.
Yep. So it's after 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and end the chat. And remember, next week, Zach Lamas is going to be on. Tell your friends. We need to get a lot of people in here if we can. So if you enjoyed the chat tonight, don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you Friday night on Charlie's chat. And Nancy is tomorrow night at 7:30. So y'all have a good week, and I will see you later.